Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ishaan, and in this video we're going to be covering a stock that could rise well over 50% very fast. We're going to be covering everything that you need to know about this company, its full DCF model, so that you get an understanding of how much it should actually be priced at, and even its full technical analysis, price prediction, and my exact strategy of where to buy and how to profit. So all I ask in return is that you subscribe so that this video can be pushed out to more people that need to hear about this stock. And with that being said, if you want to learn technical analysis for yourself and a ton of advanced trading strategies, go get my new book on Amazon titled The Technical Trader's Handbook that covers so many different technical indicators and strategies that not many people talk about. Be sure to go get it, be sure to go leave a review, and let's jump into the video. Alright, so if you've been watching this channel from the start, you can see that we've had a pretty good track record. We called out APN at $45 and it ran up all the way to 200. I called out Elastic NV at $80, it ran up all the way to 160. I called out MongoDB at 200, it ran up all the way to over 400. I called out Domo a screaming buy at $30, now it's at about 70. And I even called out Neo stock at $12, which ended up running up all the way to 50. So the stock that we're going to be talking about today, I see similar growth potential very fast as well for those stocks similar to the ones we've talked in the past. So the stock that we're going to be talking about today is Corsair Gaming stock, or ticker symbol CRSR. Now I know this stock has been pretty popular, made by YouTubers such as Jeremy over at Financial Education, but what we're going to talk about in this video is some stuff that I don't think he's even mentioned. So first of all, a brief overview for those of you who don't know what the company does. Essentially, Corsair Gaming sells computer products for gamers, streamers, or even work at home people like you and me, right? People like streamers, gamers, people working from home, they need laptops, they need keyboards, they need mouses, they need webcams, they need all these different types of products, and Corsair fulfills those needs. So growth has really accelerated thanks to the pandemic, and it's not like growth was slowing. By no means was growth slowing. This is a company already in the growth stage that is now, in fact, I like to compare it to a turbo boost. They've gotten a turbo boost and now they're accelerating even further, growing even more. But you know what? This is stuff everyone knows, so I dug a little deeper and asked some of my friends who have had experience building their own PCs and are into, gaming, streaming, and all these different things, because frankly, I know nothing about this. So they came back to me, and the final verdict is that Corsair, Logitech, and Razer are the top 3 brands that are competing right now. Now, I don't really want to include Razer into this group, because Razer, from what I've read online and what my friends have told me, tends to be a little pricey and unreliable. So now taking a look at this, I see a few things. First of all, I see a rapidly growing market with really only 2 major competitors and 2 major players. As we know, gaming, streaming, a lot of people are saying they're going to slow down, but as we can see the trajectory with e-gaming, it's only going to continue to grow. E-gaming is starting to become a viable career option for many. Gaming, streaming is becoming more adopted, especially in less developed nations as well. And so as that greater pushes, Corsair, Logitech, these companies are going to continue to benefit, and with only 2 major players, maybe a few, small minor players, there still seems a lot of room to grow. But the second way I see this, and probably the most important, is the fact that Logitech is already such a big company with limited growth. As we know, Logitech is the big dog, no doubt about it. They're the number 1. But with that being said, this is a company that's been in the industry for a while, and even pre-pandemic, their growth was starting to somewhat stagnate. Now, the pandemic definitely helped them a lot, and their growth has accelerated dramatically. But even taking a look at their next year estimates, they're in fact expected to contract. Their growth is expected to decrease next year because they're already such a massive company, guys. You have to understand it. When you're such a massive company at that point, growing even more tends to get harder and harder the larger you grow, especially when you're in such a niche market like, kind of like the gaming, streaming sector. So they've kind of hit that peak that next year, in fact, growth is estimated to contract. Corsair, on the other hand, even though their growth has accelerated dramatically in 2020, 2021, next year and beyond, they're still expected to grow because they're the new dog. They're still beginning to gain more and more market share as more customers, look away from Logitech and look towards different kind of companies such as Corsair. And so as more investors catch on, it's going to be really interesting to see. And the fact of the matter is that Corsair Gaming isn't overvalued at all. So let's talk about now the DCF model to see how much their stock price should actually be at right now, because they are not that overvalued. In fact, dramatically undervalued. Alright, so jumping into the DCF model for Corsair Gaming, I've created a 10-year discounted cash flow model. So for those of you who do not know what this is, essentially we're trying to project and see how much free cash flow Corsair Gaming can generate in the next 10 years. Then we're going to take all that cash flow and discount it so that we can bring it to present day's value to see how much it would be worth today. So now taking a look at the discounted cash flow model, we can see 2016 to 2020 how their revenues have been. Now I've estimated based on analyst estimates and using my own guesses, but for 2021 I went with 19%, which is just on the high end. A lot of analysts are only expecting on the low end about even a 6% increase, but if I'm being honest, after a 55% increase, I think 19%, which is just at about the high end, is definitely possible. And then taking a look at their net income margins, which is basically net income divided by revenue, this can help us project their future net incomes, right? So it was again swinging between positive and negative, but in 2020 they were able to do about 6%, and based off the net income projections that they had given and some of the calculations I did, next year should be about 5.63%. But taking a look at the industry average and taking a look at Logitech's net income margins, they are posting net income margins of about 9, 10 to maybe even as a high of 12 to 15%. Now Logitech's a much bigger company. They're a little more stable than Corsair. So I expect Corsair to take a few years to maybe reach that level, especially right now as they're in the growth stage, really investing back into the business. So net income might not dramatically increase. So next year about 5.6, 6, 8, 9, and then rounding it off at about 10% till about 2030. But then again, we found CapEx, we found their cash flow from operations. We were able to find out their free cash flow from 2016 to 2020. And so then taking a look at the free cash flow to net income rate, we can essentially figure out the average of how much their free cash flow will continue to grow. Taking a look at Logitech, Logitech themselves, their net income margins have been anywhere from about 110% all the way up to about 140 to 150% based on how good the year is. So in that range in the middle, I picked 120% net income margins for the next 10 years, which is pretty conservative because a lot of analysts are actually going with numbers well above that. Now this is where we get into the good stuff. So now tax rate about 21%. I used a discount rate of about 7.25%. A lot of analysts were using 7 to 7.5 to 8. So I went with about 7.25. Perpetual growth rate of about 2.05%, which is the average of the the 10-year treasury yields. Then we got a current price as of me recording this at 27.7, and then this right over here is how many shares they have in thousands. So now if we discount and bring all those future cash flows to the present value, we can see all of these right over here, and it has a terminal value of about $2.26 billion. So now taking all of this, adding it all up, we can see our total equity value of how much Corsair Gaming would actually be worth today to be about $3.675 billion. That means if we take that total equity value divided by the total number of shares outstanding, we can see that Corsair Gaming stock should actually be at about $39 or about a 31% upside. That's how much upside that Corsair Gaming still has. But being as conservative as I've been, $39. Even at that level, there's significant amount of upside for their stock, considering it could probably be growing even more, being more profitable than I have estimated, right? And then even taking a look at Corsair Gaming's price to sales and forward price to earnings ratio, it's significantly less. They're only trading at about a 1 price to sales, which in the current days market is extremely low. You got stocks trading at 10, 12 price to sales, and Corsair Gaming's only at a 1. So Corsair Gaming, according to my DCF, simply just needs to rise 31% just to be fairly valued. But in today's market where everything is trading at a premium, and considering the fact that gaming is the next new industry and Corsair is one of the main leaders, I think the stock could easily rise about 50%, which is just a couple of dollars above my price target, which is about $41 to $42. I think Corsair Gaming could easily rise to about $41 to $42 just based off the fundamentals alone and based on how the market is trading currently. Now, before I jump into the technicals, if you've been appreciating this video so far, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and go get my new book on Amazon titled The Technical Trader's Handbook. It has so many different strategies that outline exactly where to buy, exactly where to sell, and exactly how to profit. If you want to take your trading to the next level and level up, go get the new book, because we've been insanely accurate on this channel and predicting a lot of short-term price movements for various different stocks, cryptocurrencies, and so many more. So be sure to go get the new book, leave a review, and let's jump into the technicals. Alright, so taking a look at Corsair Gaming stock in the 6-month 4-hour chart, we can see how we had this major level of support here at $30. Support here, support here, support here. But recently, especially after earnings, we can see we broke below this level, pushed up, and began turning that $30 level of support into resistance. Now, this was a major level, so the fact that we turned the previous level of support into resistance shows a significant lack of buyer demand, and so it shows that sellers were in control. Overall, very bearish, and we ended up continuing lower. And then right over here after earnings, we finally broke down, and now we're kind of bouncing back lower. So now there are two situations that I could easily see play out over here. First of all, we have support right over here at 26. So we could come down, back down to 26, form a double bottom, and then bounce higher. So bottom here, bottom down over here, and then we push higher and break out to the upside and push up all the way back to $30 again. Or what could happen in the second situation is that we have support over here, we come down and break the support and cause another bull squeeze where a lot of bullish stop losses are triggered right over here, and the move even further fuels to the downside. So I think at this point, those are the two scenarios that could play out. Now, the reason I'm giving you two scenarios to watch out for is that you know exactly how to trade it regardless of whichever way it goes. So what I'll be watching for personally, if Corsair Gaming comes down at $26, is I'll be waiting for consolidation. Like right over here, you can see we came down, consolidated, and then we broke above the 9 EMA, which is this blue line, and we kind of formed higher highs and higher lows before peaking, right? But again, we have this previous level of resistance right here at about 28.5, and so we were unable to continue despite the EMA break. So now, based on the two scenarios that I laid out, if we do get a double bottom, let's say we come down and bounce, I'll be waiting for a break above the 9 EMA. If we can come down, get a bounce, break above the 9 EMA, I'll be looking to buy into that with a price target of about 28.5. But despite that, I think we could easily head up back to $30, which is this key level of support that turned into resistance. This is going to be the major fighting point even in the future. So I think buying on a break above the 9 EMA, if we come down, break above this blue line, which is the 9 EMA, begin forming higher highs and higher lows, similar to kind of like right over here, I think there'd be no harm in buying into that, because that would confirm a double bottom. Now, if we do end up breaking below this $26 level, then we'll probably have a lot more downside. If I zoom back all the way back early days, we can see that this $26 level has been a pretty strong level of support back over here in resistance. But below that, the stock could be dropping all the way down to about $24.40, where we had support back over here, some resistance in this area. So below that, I think $24 is definitely in play. So with that being said, guys, that's the video. Corsair Gaming is a stock that I think could easily rise 50% very fast. The fundamentals are amazing. The technicals, somewhat bearish, but if you come down to the right levels and start seeing a reversal, then there would be no harm in taking a position into the stock. So be sure to like, subscribe, go get my new book on Amazon, A Technical Trader's Handbook, and I'll see you guys in the next one.